Part 54. This is God's destined fate, he can't escape, so accept it. It was when he was infinitely troubled and resentful, and he heard a report from outside that Pu Qiutai was coming. Xia Linxuan's heart was relieved, and he hurriedly greeted him in person, but he saw that his lover's face was solemn, and Pu Qiutai didn't wait for him to speak after bowing down and being rude. So he said with a straight face, "Your Majesty, the minister begs the emperor to open up the heart, don't give concubine Luo the death penalty. If she does something like that, Qiutai still has to intercede for her? You almost got killed by her." Xia Linxuan looked at his lover in disbelief. He knew that Pu Qiutai was soft-hearted, but he never felt that the other party was stupid. What happened today? Your Majesty, throughout the ages, the harem has never stopped. The emperor now gathers his favor in this minister, which is to make this minister the target of public criticism. There are 3,000 beauties in the harem, all of whom are proud of the sky. But the emperor wants them to stay in this deep palace for a lifetime. How can he complain that they are acting viciously in despair? Do you think that if I don't let them stay alive and widowed, they will keep to themselves? Xia Linxuan sneered. Qiutai, you think of them too kindly. Pu Qiutai was silent for a moment, and he sighed and said, I also know that the harem is bloody. But this is the normal state of the harem after all. If these women don't enter the palace, they marry an ordinary official. Maybe they can't bring glory to the family, but they can live an ordinary life of husband and wife. But once they enter the palace, they can only strive for the top, and once they get into a fight, they can no longer retreat. From this point of view, the emperor, isn't it the harem that harms them? Concubine Yan killed the queen, and the queen died innocently, so she should be punished. But although Mother Concubine Luo intended to harm people, she did not succeed after all, and the crime should not be punished. So the minister asked the emperor to think twice. Pu Qiutai knelt down after speaking, but listened to Xia Linxuan be silent for a while. He said in a deep voice, but I was seriously injured. Concubine Luo plotted to kill me, and the crime should be cut with 1,000 knives, and I gave her the punishment of splitting the car, which is already a lenient treatment. Your Majesty. Pu Qiutai looked up at Xia Linxuan and said calmly, Concubine Luo is trying to harm the minister, but the emperor will be injured to save the minister. Concubine Luo should have never had the intention of murdering the emperor, and it was unfair for the emperor to condemn her like this. Minister. It's still the same sentence. Speaking of this, Pu Qiutai lowered his eyes lightly and said in a deep voice, the reason why this kind of thing happened is because of the emperor. Self-inflicted. Xiao Beiji gasped. He knew that concubine Wen was very bold, but he really didn't expect it to be so big. He couldn't help but secretly glance at Xia Linxuan, and secretly said that Mother Concubine Wen is pampered and arrogant, dare to say that the emperor suffered by himself. My God! Should concubine Wen mother fall out of favor from now on, right? No, it shouldn't be. Even if it really falls out of favor, maybe this is the purpose of the mother. To Xiao Beiji's surprise, Xia Linxuan didn't say a word, just hung his head there, and didn't know what he was thinking. The atmosphere in the room instantly became solemn, and Xiao Beiji stood aside, only to feel that it was a little difficult to breathe. I don't know how much time passed, but suddenly Xia Linxuan raised his head, looked at Pu Qiutai and smiled. What my beloved concubine said is right, I did it myself. That being the case, I have the idea of getting the best of both worlds. What's the idea? Pu Qiutai looked at Xia Linxuan's smiling eyes, and for some reason, an ominous premonition suddenly rose in his heart. Dissolve the harem. As if in order to confirm his hunch, the 4 words that came out of Xia Linxuan's mouth were really a bolt from the blue, and they blew Pu Qiutai out of his soul on the spot. What do you mean? Pu Qiutai asked in a trembling voice. The sky can be seen. He originally wanted to euphemistically persuade Xia Linxuan to pay attention to the balance of the harem in the future. Let the concubines be evenly stained with rain and dew. And don't concentrate the rain and dew on himself. He is not rice. Such a watering method will be waterlogged, okay? Behold this. How did this turn out completely different from what he expected? It seems like it's a bit of a feeling of lifting a stone and shooting yourself in the foot. Dissolve the harem. That's what it means. Xia Linxuan smiled proudly. I feel that Qiutai criticized me very right just now. Since I love Qiutai wholeheartedly, won't so many beauties become widows in the deep palace? This is against the way of heaven. Therefore, I decided to follow the example of the sages and send all the harem concubines home and let them marry freely. What nonsense is the emperor talking about? Which sage did such a thing? Pu Qiutai was annoyed. This bastard is just talking nonsense. Dismiss the harem? How did he not know which emperor in history had done this? The concubines who served the emperor went home to marry freely. Although this is a great thing for those women, but do you want the face of the heavenly family? Well, our ancestors of the Xia family did this back then. Xia Linxuan's face was taken for granted. My Xia family had an ancestor more than 10 generations ago, who was unruly in the first half of his life, taking more than a dozen concubines, and then he met the true love of his life, so he sold all those concubines. Now I am the emperor. And the concubines are different from the concubines, so naturally they can't be sold. Wait, the more Pu Qiutai listened, the more wrong it became. Your Majesty. The minister remembers that the founding of Great Xia has only been more than 60 years, right? The ancestor of your family more than 10 generations ago, when he was the emperor? No. He remembered that there were only 3 emperors in the history of the Xia kingdom, and the ancestors of more than 10 generations ago. When was that? It's not the emperor. Xia Linxuan looked at Pu Qiutai suspiciously. What's wrong with not being the emperor? Then my ancestors did this. Your Majesty. Pu Qiutai covered his heart. And he was so angry that his liver hurt. Then how can it be the same? It is common for the folk magnates and wealthy businessmen to sell concubines, but you are the emperor. And the harem concubines are dismissed from the palace and allowed to marry freely. Where is the face of the heavenly family? Then do you want to let them stay alive and widowed at home after they are dismissed? Isn't that cruel? Qiutai has always been a kind person. How could he have such cruel thoughts? Xia Linxuan's eyes became more and more puzzled, and Pu Qiutai was about to faint, gritting his teeth and saying, why does the emperor have to think of these extreme ideas? You can't get the rain and dew evenly, so the harem concubines will inevitably have a lot less resentment. And if there is no resentment, there will naturally be a lot less strife. It can't be. Xia Linxuan waved his hand and categorically refused. I'm used to eating delicacies from the mountains and seas, now let me go back and gnaw on the mud. How can I still eat it? The beauties of the harem are all stunning. Why did they become mud when they got into the emperor's mouth? Pu Qiutai's forehead was full of green tendons, and he wanted to beat this bastard emperor to death with one punch. This is the power of love. I have Qiutai, and those worlds are no different from mud. Xia Linxuan smiled slightly, and the love in his eyes seemed to be overflowing. Then it's decided. I will dismiss the harem from now on, concubine Luo. I can save her from death, or let her go home. But the Xu family will take the title for the people from now on and get out of the capital. Pu Qiutai was silent. Xia Linxuan's hand is ruthless enough. The Xu family's seizure of the title for the people can be said to have fallen from the clouds to the abyss, and all of this is the result of concubine Luo's murder of herself. Sending concubine Luo home, it is conceivable that all the hateful and resentful eyes in the family have to be borne by her. It is better to die happily. Okay. My big business has finally been solved. The worry and anger in Xia Linxuan's chest finally disappeared with this decision. He stood up and came to his lover, who was still in the shape of 5 thunders, and put his arm around Pu Qiutai's shoulder. Qiutai, go out for a walk with me. I have another good news to tell you. Are you sure it's good news? Pu Qiutai was already numb. The self-defeating nature of this matter made him completely lose confidence in himself. He only felt that Xia Linxuan's so-called good news must not be real good news. Maybe it was another heavenly thunder, so he took a deep breath, prepared in his heart, and accompanied Xia Linxuan out of the heart cultivation palace and went to the backyard. It is the most beautiful time of the year. The peach blossoms and apricot blossoms in the back garden of the Yangxin Palace are in full bloom. A gust of spring breeze blows. There are falling flowers like rain, with a bit of romantic and charming atmosphere. Accompanied Xia Linxuan slowly. Neither of them spoke. Pu Qiutai had no thoughts, but Xia Linxuan seemed to be brewing something, and the atmosphere was a little solemn for a while. Qiutai, I remember that you used to be a Hanlin attendant, right? Later, you entered the palace as a concubine, but I did not remove you from your official position. In the end, it was Xia Linxuan who spoke first, turned his head to look at his lover beside him, and asked in a gentle voice, Hanlin waiter? How long ago was that? Pu Qiutai raised his eyes to look at the tender emperor, and his thoughts returned to those days in an instant. Yes, the days in the Hanlin Academy. It was really peaceful and happy. The emperor collected many poems at that time, and the minister used to. Fascinated to the point of forgetting to sleep and eat, Pu Qiutai sighed softly and felt bitter in his heart. It's a pity that there will never be such a day again. Yes, I also remember you. As soon as you came across those unique books of the subset of scriptures, you forgot everything. Xia Linxuan also smiled, and then said softly, in this case, then you can return to the Hanlin Academy from now on. Pu Qiutai raised his head suddenly, looked at Xia Linxuan in disbelief, but saw His Majesty Emperor spread his hands. I can let you go to the Hanlin Academy, and even let you enter the 6th department to show your ambitions. But you are still my person. Since the crown prince was raised by you, it is natural for you to be the queen. Your Majesty. Pu Qiutai's heart was in turmoil, and he shouted, Your Majesty. But he didn't know what to say. Our daimyo people are free. As long as you truly love each other, even men and men can be together. And you don't have to worry about being ridiculed when you go to the Hanlin Academy and the 6th department. In fact, if you go to these places to do things as a queen, it will only make people awe-inspiring, which will probably make you a little uncomfortable at first, but Qiutai is a gentle and jade-like character. As long as you get along for a long time, everyone will definitely get used to you and accept you from the heart. How about it? Would you like to take on this challenge? Do your part for Xilin and the people of the world? Will you do your best for Xilin and the people? Of course, Pu Qiutai is willing. The problem is, let him integrate into the courtiers as the queen and assist the emperor in governing the country and the harem. He really can't get past the hurdle in his heart. The harem is full of daily chores. Although it is said that it is beautiful to be in charge of the 6th palace, but if you are asked to do such a thing, it will inevitably disappoint your talent. So let Farong and the others handle those things for you. In addition, the other concubines can be sent home. Noble ways she want to stay. After all, she is Qing'er's biological mother. And I can't bear to let Qing'er and her mother and son be separated from now on and never see each other again. Second, she is a smart person, although she has also done vicious things in the past. But after my beating, she has settled down a lot, and now she has the experience of concubine Yan and concubine Luo. In addition to you in the harem, there is only one concubine left. And she will never dare to make another incident. She is smart by nature and can help you manage the harem and let you do things without distractions. What do you think? Your Majesty. This is not appropriate. Pu Qiutai hesitated to speak, but soon came to his senses, shook his head and said, "The minister didn't say that it was inappropriate for the noble Wei to stay. In fact, the minister didn't want the emperor to dismiss the harem. The minister said that it was inappropriate to let the minister go to the Hanlin Academy and the 6 departments. There's nothing wrong with that." Xia Linxuan stopped, grabbed Pu Qiutai's thin shoulders with both hands, and said seriously, "I know that you are eager to display your ambitions in your heart, and you have this ability and talent. So why think too much? If you don't want to listen to politics side by side with me, then I will let you go and let you be a real auxiliary minister. Although this matter has no ancients, and may not come later, but as long as Qiutai shows your strengths, who knows that this will not become a legend that will be passed down through the ages. You don't have to be trapped in the deep palace. Although you are destined to be with the domineering king next to you for the rest of your life, but he can be an auxiliary minister, and he can show his ambitions to the fullest. And he can assist this wonderful king to create an unprecedented era of peace and prosperity." Pu Qiutai looked at Xia Linxuan seriously. There was no doubt that he was moved by these words, although he still felt a little embarrassed, but his heart was already excited and expectant. The Hanlin Academy is actually still a quiet place, and there are no trivial matters in the 6 departments, but it will not be busy. Qiutai will not be so busy that he forgets to sleep and eat. So in his spare time, you still have to help the prince and Qinger with their homework, and I see that their brothers, especially the prince, are very close to you. Xia Linxuan groaned and spoke again, and before he finished speaking, he heard Pu Qiutai beside him grit his teeth and say, "Your Majesty, are you calling your minister as donkeys? Do you have to squeeze every ounce of your minister's strength to stop? Qiutai does what you can. I'm just telling you what you're going to do in the future, and as for how to arrange it, it's up to you to decide. This harem is about to be disbanded, and I will spoil you from now on. And I will also consider your body, and it is impossible to squeeze you clean every night." That's enough, there's no need to say that. Although he had heard all the shameful words. At this time, when he heard Xia Linxuan talking about the bed with such an unchanging face, Pu Qiutai couldn't help but blush. Okay, let's not talk about it," Xia Linxuan hurriedly said with a smile, and then he gently hugged Pu Qiutai into his arms, and sighed, "Qiutai, I'm sorry. Who told us to meet in this life? Whether I am shameless or domineering, I will never let you go. You don't know how important you are to me, you are my life. For you, I am willing to do anything. And I would even rather give up this splendid country. But you must be unwilling. Okay, then if you want a peaceful world, I will do my best to give you a peaceful world. From then on, we are both lovers and minister, and you will accompany me to the end of the day, and we will watch together, and see how prosperous the world can be, okay?" Pu Qiutai was silent for a long time. Nodded and said, "Okay. That's it," as Xia Linxuan said, "Who told them to meet in this life? This is God's destined fate, he can't escape. Even so, then don't escape, just with this man. Side by side to see this mountain and river, what kind of dazzling brilliance can be radiated in their hands?" At this moment, Pu Qiutai accepted his fate. The spring breeze is slow, and the flowers fall into an array, passing over the shoulders of the two, leaving a wisp of quiet and elegant aftertaste, which lingers for a long time.